I totally get it. So I'm very grateful to be here with you guys this morning, and I'm excited to chat with you about something that we were actually talking about it last night in at the event. So on Tuesday nights we do an event here in Dallas, and we'll do a local event. Myself, Keith Williams, David, of course, Eric Eve, Eric Carter, Dr. Romathia, and a group of a few other people. We all get together and we do scans and we do presentation, and it's a really awesome event on Tuesdays. And so the uh, the conversation last night, we were talking about, discipline, and even Eric Carter said it the other day on the morning call that he did. He said that you got to have discipline over motivation. And that got my mind thinking of like, well, wait a minute, there's a lot of people who have set goals for themselves. If you've set a goal for yourself and you didn't meet that goal because you didn't follow through, drop a one in the chat. And I know for sure me that has happened to. And so it's like, okay, well, I gotta have discipline, but what is discipline? Is discipline pure grit and pushing through and forcing yourself to do something? Um, and the answer to that is, in my opinion, no. There's actually a formula for discipline. And I had to really stop and think about that formula because over the years, my level of discipline has just continued to rise and rise. And I ask myself, like, okay, what is that formula? What am I doing when I'm creating more discipline in my life? Because if this is your first time on a morning call, drop a two in the chat. I just want to know if this is your first time on anybody on a AM power call. Good morning, Raneem. Hi, Boo. Anybody that's new today, drop a two. I don't see any two, so that means pretty much everybody's here. So that means most of you guys, let me see. New, yay! Good morning, Marie. Okay, we've got Marie. Marie, you're new. Okay, so for anybody that didn't vote, they might be new too. A lot of you guys know my story, and from where I was to the version of me that I am today, I had to completely change my entire identity of who I was. And what I'm about to tell you isn't to impress you, and I love this saying because it's true. It's not to impress you, it's to impress upon you what is possible. And the version of who I am, was from 13 years old to 25 years old. I drank every single day. Most nights I blacked out. I did not work out. I did not take care of my body. I didn't put good things into my body. I didn't wake up early. When I did wake up, I woke up and gave myself a tiny amount of time. I was always hungover. I went and smoked a cigarette first thing in the morning. And then I didn't nourish my body. I didn't even eat before I went to go to work. I didn't do biohacking things. I stayed in unhealthy, abusive relationships. I didn't talk to myself very well. I was always in and out of depressions and anxiety. I didn't take care of myself. And so the version of who I was to who I am now is a completely different version, because now this version of me, you guys, I haven't had alcohol in 10 years. I work out 6 to 7 days a week. This is a really crazy thing. I have zero cravings for food ever. Like ever, 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 which is really crazy because the version of me that David met when we first got together was we loved bakery hopping. Like there was a version of me that felt like I mean, there was sweets. Like if there was a sweet that I saw that I wanted, that I didn't feel like I could live without trying it, without it being in my body. Like literally that was the intensity of what it felt like. I was like, I don't think I can continue my life if that cake or cookie or whatever doesn't enter my body. Like I have to have it in in my mouth. And so um, now I wake up before 6 a.m. I take my supplements every single day. I travel with my supplements. I don't change my food when I travel. I don't change my workouts when I travel. I get daily sunshine. Like the version of who I was to the version of who I am are literally completely opposite in every single way. The way I talk to myself, the type of people that I allow in my space, the type of people that, you know, the way that I treat myself is just completely different. And becoming this version of me now, that doesn't mean that I was always motivated, that feeling of like, man, I can't wait to get up and go to the gym, or, you know, I can't wait to go cook this healthy meal. It wasn't always a feeling of motivation. You know, there's times in the last 10 years that I've had a thought about drinking. There's times that I haven't wanted to go to the gym. There's times that I've wanted to snuggle in bed. And there's times I've looked at a molten lava cake over the years and did have those cravings. Now it's at the point where I feel nothing unless I know it's nourishing me and I know it's going to enter my body and it's not poison. Then I get completely turned off by it. So now that this transition has happened, why did this transition happen? And it's such an interesting thing to see such a complete difference. And so the transition happened from discipline. But what is the formula for discipline? Because if you're not reaching your potential, if you look at anything that I'm saying and you have multiple feelings towards it, like, wow, I don't think that I could ever do that, or you know, that's not something that I'm cut out for. I used to think that about myself. I used to look at fitness people and be like, wow, that's so cool that that person can do that. You know, that's not me. And so it doesn't, anything that somebody else creates in their life doesn't mean that you're not capable of it. It just means that you've allowed your mind to stop you. And if you look at anybody who has these things and has, if you ever are on social media, this can feel this way sometimes on social media. If you see somebody that has something that you want and you feel jealous or you feel envious or you feel like, oh, that's good for you, that means there's something inside. That means your truest self within you is not reaching its potential. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel that way, because it feels, it doesn't, it feels terrible, you guys, within your being to, because there's two things happening. You have the mind and then you have the your true self, right? Your mind is the one that's going to keep you small. It's going to stop you from pushing past your comfort zone, because the mind's nature is to always protect you. So in its protection, it doesn't want you to step outside your comfort zone, because outside of that little comfy spot is danger, right? Perceived by the mind. But your truest self within, your highest self, always wants you to expand, because its nature is pure expansion. Its nature is pure experience and boundlessness. And so when you're not honoring that, the real version of you, the truest part of you, that's where multiple things will happen. The mind will just be like, oh, you're not cut out for it. It's okay. And it'll keep you small, or it'll get jealous, or it'll get envious. And that doesn't feel good for your truest self. So then that causes a bunch of self loathing or criticism or feelings within you that it doesn't feel good to live in that state, in that space. So you have to remember that your mind, you can't let it stop you. You're forgetting that the most empowering relationship that you can have with your mind is that your mind remains the servant. Your mind is not the master. Your mind is the servant, and that's it. And so when you take a when we stop to look at this formula, you guys, the formula for this is what I've decided, that the formula for discipline is devotion plus your identity. Okay? So in your devotion, what is devotion? Devotion is not, oh, you know, I want this. It's a pure, unwavering commitment to something. Okay, I want you guys to write in the chat. What is something that you're 1,000% committed to? Put something in the chat that you are for sure 1,000% all the time committed to. Duolingo daily, nice. Religion, nice. For me, one of the things I'm 1,000, there you go, Amber, that's what mine is. 1,000% devoted to. I'm devoted to my family. There is not a single thing that can unwaver my feelings towards my family and my faith as well. But the family, we're going to use family as an example, because that one's pretty streamlined for most people. There's an unwavering commitment, like breathing you will honor and take care of your children and your spouse, right? So that's one thing that you're 1,000% committed to. Me as well. So, and keep that in mind. Okay. So part of devotion is first stopping and taking a look at how you speak to yourself, because devotion is your devotion to your family, your devotion to your children. But how do we turn that devotion back to ourselves? Okay, let's start with, how do you speak to yourselves? Most, not most, but a lot of people will speak to themselves like not really great. And you really have to think about it. Would you let somebody speak to your kid the way that you speak to yourself? Would you allow somebody to do that? And if the answer to that is no, then there has to be a moment where you check yourself, where when you find yourself speaking to yourself in a way that is disempowering, you have to be like, wow, 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 that's not me speaking to myself that way, because my highest self would never speak to me like that way. That's my mind speaking to me that way in its attempt to protect me, which is such a weird, when you really like think about it, you're like, wow, okay, it's really actually trying to protect you. So when it's beating you down and it's like, no, you're not good enough. No, you're not meant to do that. It's literally just trying to keep you in this little safe place. So, which is so interesting. So, but you have to check it and be like, whoa, hold on a second. Is that me speaking to myself? Is that my highest self conversation, or is that my mind? Okay. And then when it comes to love, when you really think about loving yourself, this is weird because, we're not taught how to love ourselves. We're actually taught, the way that we're actually taught to love ourselves is to prove our worth. It's got, it's related to what we look like. It's related to how much money we make, how we perform, the results that we create. That's how we've been conditioned to love ourselves, but we haven't been conditioned on what real, true love is. And the reality of this, and if you're new on this call, sometimes we talk about God, but you can, your God and your creator, that can be whatever that is for you, your highest power. But the reality is, you were not born proving your worth. You were born in the image of God and by the creator. That is the truth. Your worth is innate, and you don't lose it by growing up. It's not that you become an adult and all of a sudden this innate worth, this image of God that you were created in, is gone. Okay, I want everybody to, oh, my dog's coming to sit next to me. Everybody say hi. Her name is Gracie. Say hi. I want everybody to type in the chat, my worth is inherent, because it is. And your action will flow from worth, not for worth. Okay. You want Gracie down? Gracie, you gotta go. Gracie, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. Gracie just got kicked out. Okay. So I'm gonna say that again. Action will flow from worth, not for worth. Okay. Good. Your worth is inherent, you guys, in your mind. You guys, it just gets really tricky with the mind, because the mind is so loud and it's so aggressive and it's just really loud that you start to listen to it and you start to think that that's you, and that's not you. Okay. Now, loving yourself is self-respect straight up. That's what love is. And honoring what your true self values. Okay, so you don't just dream something, you have to align with it, and that's your devotion. So it's not just the outcome, but the becoming. So if you take a look at the things that you do, the actions that you do, like if I take a look at why I wake up early every day to meditate, it's not discipline that's waking me up early to meditate. It's my devotion to God and my connection to source. If I look at why I work out and why I strength train and why I lift heavy, it's not a punishment. It's not for me to, oh my God, I got to go work off, the food that I'm eating. It's not an image thing, even though I don't complain about the aesthetics of it, but it's a devotion to honoring my body and to honoring its power and to honor what it's capable of. I take my herbs every single day. I eat well. I do not poison my body ever. If you guys know me, you will never see me poison my body at all. Like, there's not a cheat day. Like, I don't care who normalized this. I used to do this, by the way, just to let you know. When I first got into bodybuilding, there was cheat days, and it was like, oh man, you just couldn't wait to put something in your body that that was, delicious and terrible for it. I would never, ever honor myself or celebrate my life, celebrate something by putting poison in my body. Now, this isn't for me to beat you up or to make you feel bad or to make you feel like, oh my gosh, it's just to show you my perspective. And if you see it and you like it and you're like, oh, that's an interesting perspective, and you want to adopt some of it, or if you're like, wow, that's possible to think and feel that way. Oh, cool. If it's for you to take into to embody, cool. If it's not, that's okay too. But it doesn't make sense to me to celebrate something and poison myself. Like, that's the craziest thing. And I teach this to my children too. I pack my own kids' food when we go to events. When we go to a birthday party, I don't let them eat the cake that was bought from Lord knows where, with 87 ingredients, and it's got bioengineered ingredients, listed in the back. I bring my own stuff because I'm like, hey, we're not celebrating today by poisoning myself. I don't want to instill that type of programming into their brain. So when they grow up, they think that it's normal. They think it's normal, like, oh yeah, when we celebrate, we poison ourselves. It's normal. There's nothing normal about going against the way that God wanted this body to operate. There's nothing normal about that. They have normalized it for many reasons because they want us sick. Too many people make money off of us being sick, but it's not normal. Delicious things there can be delicious things that we can make, and cakes and all the fun things that are healthy and do not poison your system. Okay, so when it comes to eating that way and taking care of myself and taking my herbs, I never skip my herbs. I pack all of my supplements. Like, I bought a shower, not a shower thing, but a bathroom thing, that unrolls and you hang and you have all this stuff. I bought one specifically for my supplements. So I travel with, and I take it with me to restaurants. It's in the hotel. I take it on the plane. I open that baby up. Sometimes I got to take something while I'm on a plane. The way that I treat myself is the consistent all the time, because devotion means that you do not abandon yourself when it's hard or when it's inconvenient or when there's a celebration or when there's and the crazy thing is, when you start to really do this, like when you really do the best thing possible to respect yourself in the highest way possible all the time, you fall in love with it. There's zero time that I feel like I'm suffering, or I feel like I'm not having as good of a time as someone else, or I feel like, oh my gosh, I have to take care of myself. I am so in love with my journey and my process and taking care of myself. I I find it's I said something on my social media today, like, I am absolutely fascinated and in love with honoring this body and taking care of it. I gave the example of, I wonder if it's how men feel about cars, when they have their car and they're like opening the hood and they're waxing it and they're taking care of every single tire, making there's no streaks on it, and they're checking all their wires and they're doing all this stuff. Like, I wonder if that's how it feels. Like, that's how I feel taking care of my body. I'm like, ooh, how can I take care of you and love you and honor you all the time in the best way possible? Because it feels like God's work. It feels right. It feels right. You cannot that How many times have you done something against what your body wanted? Whether you poisoned it, you poisoned your mind, you let someone else in your space, you didn't go take care of your body like you were supposed to, like move it, you didn't get your sunshine, and it doesn't feel good. It's like, man, like, it doesn't feel good to not honor yourself. I know this because I knew what it felt like to be on the other side of not honoring myself, and it felt awful. I lived in this apartment where you had to go up these steps, then came into my front door, and you went up the steps again, and then you were up into my apartment. And I remember I would wake up and I was always hungover, and I would go all the way down to go smoke a cigarette, and I would take my dog out. So I would go down there, and I was so, like, if you ever smoked a cigarette when you're hungover, you get really lightheaded and you feel like death. And I always drank. I mean, I was blacked out the night before. I blacked out pretty much every night for a long time. And so after I was done smoking a cigarette, I was so lightheaded, I had to crawl my way up the stairs. And there was times where I had to stop halfway through. I couldn't even make it up my stairs. Like, I literally, I, looking at this version of me and where I was, and then looking at where I'm at now, I'm so passionate about this because I never want to go anywhere close to where I was before. And so respect means that you're not betraying your body, your boundaries, your soul. The way that you love your family, because I'm going to reconnect this to family. The way that you love your family is by showing up consistently. You show how many moms, you guys, how many moms out there how many times have you sacrificed something so for your children? Like you do anything for them. There's, oh my gosh, I can think of multiple times with my own children where, one day we were like in the rain and I was running with them, and these were when they were a little bit smaller, and I had them in my arms and I tripped and fell, and to protect them from I can't remember who it was. I think it was my son. To protect him from hurting himself, I had to take the fall and like smash my arm to protect him. Like, we'll do anything to protect our children, right? So loving yourself is the same exact way. You show up the best way possible, even when your mind tells you that it doesn't feel like it. And one of the things that you can do, and I started doing this as soon as I got sober, the rehab that I went to, they gave me this little card of these little affirmations to read, and she wanted me to look at myself in the mirror. So you look at yourself in the mirror, and you look at yourself straight into the eyes, and you say, I will not abandon you. I will show up for you the best way possible because you are worth it. I love you and I love this journey. And I couldn't tell myself that I love myself in my eyes for quite some time. I used to cry. At first, I thought, I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then as I'm trying to say it, I'm just sobbing. And I'm like, I can't even tell myself I love myself. I was like, this is a problem. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I tell my mom I love her. I tell my abusive boyfriend I love him, but I can't tell myself I love me. Like, hold on, what is happening? So take a look at your day and talk to yourself and ask yourself, what's one way that I can respect myself today? Is it a or am I going to create rest? Am I going to move my body? Am I going to give myself a more nourishing meal? Am I going to communicate to myself differently today? What's one way that you can respect yourself? Okay, so your devotion is your pure commitment to, honestly, your expansion, just the expansion of who you can become, and really treating yourself in the way that you would treat your most valued loved one. And then there's your identity. So anytime I look at something that I want, my question to myself is, who do I have to become to have that thing that I want? What do I have to morph into? You guys, we're all just we're just all in our little cocoons, and we can always re-cocoon. That's the cool thing. We're always like molting, like shedding new layers. If you choose it. If you don't choose it, you can die on this planet and never molt. You can die on this planet and never, ever, ever, ever create a greater version of yourself. That is 100% possible. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can molt as many times as you want. There's people that knew me or saw me a year ago or 6 months ago that are like, oh my gosh, like, you've changed so much. And I'm like, that's the goal. I want to continue evolving as much as possible. So when you're looking at your identity, it's asking yourself, who would you be if you already had it? So, when I had to become, when I finally decided, because there was the night that all the wanting to quit, I had want to quit drinking, and I'd want to quit drinking, and I'd want to quit drinking, but I could never get through it long enough without the tremors and without the shakes and the anxiety and I would start hearing stuff. I would start hallucinating. I could never get through it long enough to, as soon as the anxiety or the tremors or like stuff got weird after about 24 hours in, I was like, all right, this isn't working. This sucks. So when I finally made the decision, that I remember the exact night that I made the decision, and I laid in bed and I was sobbing that whole night. And I remember thinking, like, I have decided. Like, that was the feeling that I had. And so the next step for me was, okay, well, how do I become a healthy person? What does that look like? Okay, what does someone do who is healthy? Okay, they move their body, they eat differently, they change what time they go to sleep, They start spending time around people that are actually healthy people, right? I had to stop hanging out with friends that went to the bar. What is somebody that's successful in business? What do? Well, they probably have a really strong mindset. They're probably resilient. They probably also are really great with their time management. So they're probably organized with their schedule. They're probably somebody who is a self-starter who is able to empower themselves, because when you're in business and entrepreneurship, you sometimes you have a support system, but a lot of it comes down to you in your space running your business right then and there. So thinking about who do you have to become if you want to step into this role, right? And then you start reverse engineering to create the micro actions that you start plugging into your day. So if you're somebody who wants to be successful in this business, then okay, that means that that person talks to themselves well and they are resilient. Okay, how does somebody become resilient and talk to themselves well? Okay, they probably listen to personal development. Okay, that means I have to plug in personal development into my day. What type of personal development do I listen to? Let me ask somebody who they listen to. How much time should I designate in a day? Okay, I can probably do 15 minutes on my drive to work. Let me plug it into my calendar. What else does somebody successful in business and do? They move the needle and they do income producing activities. What is that? What time of where am I going to do my income producing activities? Well, let me start with one platform. Let me start with Facebook. Okay, how many people should I reach out to in a day? Well, how much time do I have? I have, you know, three pockets of 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, let's start with one person a day. If I can do one person a day successfully for a week, then I can move up to two people a day successfully. Then I can do that for a week. And you start expanding outside of your nervous system slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, then if I'm going to reach out to that one person a day and I'm going to pique their interest on my first 30-minute opening, what should I say to them? Okay, we have a boards app. I should go into boards app and go look at how to pique someone's interest. Then on the second 30-minute opening I have, if they haven't responded, maybe it's a good idea for me to take a picture of my V daily drink that I'm taking, or my capsules. Okay, great. Oh, by nighttime, they've responded. I'm going to continue this conversation. Like, you literally have to beep, 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 and just slowly reverse engineer things, guys, and do it as small as you possibly can until you get some momentum in that space. Because here's what's tricky is when you start to, I gotta hurry, I only have 30 minutes. I'm already 30 minutes in. Here's what's tricky is when you start to do these things, and if you don't meet the goal that you had, the mind, it'll take every opportunity it has to pull you back into the comfort zone. So it'll come in and be like, see, I told you that you couldn't do it. I told you that you weren't gonna be successful in this. I told you that this wasn't you weren't cut out for this. The mind will take the opportunity to do that. Okay, so you have to be very aware that it might come in strong, and just be aware of that. Be like, I know my mind's going to come and talk trash again. That doesn't mean I abandon myself. That doesn't mean I change the course. Okay, then you have two options, to be honest with you. You can do like micro actions, or if you're more like me, when I make a decision to change something, I change everything and I change it really fast, and I like flip the switch. I'm like, all right, everything's getting changed right now. And so it's kind of that's kind of my style in doing it. So there's no right or wrong. It just depends on what you think your nervous system can handle. And then make sure you're putting these things on the calendar, you guys. If you have a relationship with your Google Calendar and it's a strong one, or any calendar, even if you're writing it and it's a strong one and you're good at it and you're consistent with it, drop a 3 in the chat. If you have a consistent relationship with your calendar, something that tracks the hours in the day so you can track yourself, because it's not time management. Time doesn't change. Time doesn't just keeps on rolling. It's management of yourself. How are you going to spend the hours and minutes throughout your day? Okay. And then the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this vision of you, of this person that you need to become, that to have the things that you want and the things that you want to do. You're going to need to visualize this version of you. Okay, and take time out of your day, 5-10 minutes a day, to put on some theta brainwaves on your phone on YouTube and literally sit there and visualize this version of you. Visualize the greatest, most awesomest, grandest version of you that's full of self-love, where you honor yourself and you're taking care of yourself and you're doing all the things. Visualize that every single day. And remember, when your mind starts to come in, you have to, and starts doing its thing, you just have to remember who's talking. Know who's talking at all times. There's the true self, and then there's the mind. The true self is going to be calm, it's going to be steady, it's going to be loving, it's going to be empowering, it's going to feel like you got this, it's going to feel like how you would talk to your greatest loved one. It is rooted in love. So the version of you that sees the vision, the one that you the version of the voice that feels this feels love, and it feels excitement, and it feels hope. That is your true self. Okay, and it's usually more of like a whisper. It's a feeling of peace, of empowerment, expansion, lightness, where the mind is very loud. It's reactive, it's fear driven. It's like, what if we fail? What if you suck at this? What if they don't like me? What if I mess this up? You're not cut out for this. It's always negotiating. It's like, oh, we can start tomorrow, or we can start next week, or it's always trying to find, oh, well, this isn't too unhealthy. It's I know it's not ideal, but it's just one, whatever it is. The question of, am I enough? That is always that's the mind. Okay, so when there's resistance to something that you're doing in your life, and you're working towards something you want, you have to pause and you have to ask yourself, is this fear or is this my truth? And you got to check your body, because the body never lies. So check in with your body and be like, all right, there's a feeling of tightness, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's a feeling of heaviness. That's your mind. And then the feeling of your true self is going to be grounded. It's going to feel maybe even like you're floating. It's going to feel exciting. It's going to feel light. That's going to be your true self. Okay. So, I hope that by this conversation that you understand that discipline it's not about pure force. It's not about punishing yourself. It's not about there is a there's grit, but if you really keep boiling it down, it's your devotion to you. It's your devotion to your self-respect. It's your devotion to your self-love. It's your devotion to your journey. It's the identity of, who do I want to become? Because you know that you're a canvas that can always be, and it's like one of those little the little things that have the little knobs, and you can draw on it, and then you shake it, and then it goes back to a blank. That's what it's like to live in this. You can literally create something super cool with that thing, and you can shake it and be like, we're blank canvas. We can be anything now. So your devotion is to your mission and embodying that identity of that person that's already living it. And when you combine these and they both click, you literally don't have to try anymore. It doesn't feel like effort. It doesn't feel like, oh, like, it's literally, you do it because doing anything less would be betraying who you are. And that's what it feels like. And so, yeah, the Etch a Sketch. And so I want you guys to fall in love with your journey and your experience here on this planet. It's the most important journey of this entire of it. It's the most important thing in this world. Your journey, even more important, this, and you might not get this, or this might feel controversial, but it's even more important than your children's journey, because you are the example to your children. Your children do what you do, not what you say. You have to be the most important thing. Besides God, besides my relationship with God, I am the most important thing, period, 100%. Because when I'm not honoring myself, I'm not treating people the best way. If I'm not honoring myself, I'm not setting the best example for my child. If I'm not honoring myself, then I'm not showing up as the best partner to David. If I don't know myself deeply, love myself deeply, take care of myself deeply, I can't do it for anyone else. I can only do it at the level that I do it with me. It has to start with you. All right. I love you guys. I am too late again. I went too long. I'm sorry, James, if you're on the call. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Before I leave, I just want to let you guys know, November 1st and 2nd, this is an event that you don't want to miss. This is going to be an absolutely incredible event, you guys, in Anaheim, California. Anaheim, California on its own is absolutely gorgeous. Love California. But we get to be together, you guys. There's going to be 2 days of training where we're going to get to hang out. We're going to get to spend time together. It is possible that ticket prices could be going up, so I highly recommend to get your ticket right now. They're in the back office. If you do not have your ticket, go get it. Trust me, your success rate of being with your business partners and getting the training and getting closer, creating relationships with people, it is a possible catalyst for you to have more success in your business, because there's you guys, the events changed my life. That's actually how I met David. But events changed my life, of what I learned from the events and what I got to experience from those events. And I'm very grateful. So you guys, November 1st and 2nd, get your ticket ASAP. Anaheim, in the back office, and I'll see you guys there.